Welcome to Short Times, where we provide you with the most exciting and engaging movie recaps in just a few minutes. Today, we're diving into the thrilling world of Enola Holmes. The film Enola Holmes introduces us to its protagonist, Enola, Millie Bobby Brown, right from the start. She informs the audience that her name is Alone spelled backwards, but she has never been truly alone, as she spent most of her childhood with her mother Eudoria at their home Ferndale Hall. Despite her father's death and her brothers moving out, Enola had a fulfilling childhood with Eudoria as her teacher and guide in various subjects like reading, science, and also physical activities like fencing or archery. Enola also mentions a secret meeting of Eudoria she accidentally walked in. One morning, as Enola turns 16, she wakes up to find her mother Eudoria missing with no trace, only leaving behind some gifts, including the book named The Language of Flowers. This sets the stage for Enola's own journey of self-discovery, as she sets out to find her missing mother. The movie continues with Enola going to the train station to meet her elder brothers, Sherlock and Mycroft, in order to find out what happened to her mother. Her brothers are taken aback to see her after all these years. When they return to Ferndale Hall, Mycroft is shocked to find out that Enola has not received a typical upbringing for young women, specifically learning that Enola was homeschooled by their mother instead of getting a formal education. Meanwhile, Sherlock begins his own investigation of Eudoria's disappearance, believing that she had left of her own accord, rather than being kidnapped. Mycroft decides that Enola should be sent to a finishing school, and contacts Miss Harrison to take her in. Miss Harrison is strict and unkind, and wants to mold Enola into the image of a proper young woman. Enola argues with Mycroft over the decision, but even Sherlock can't change his brother's mind. Enola retreats to the woods outside to sketch, where Sherlock joins her. He brings up a pinnacone that Enola used to keep as a pet, named Dash after the Queen's pet, but Enola hardly remembers it. She questions Sherlock about his long absences, and why he never wrote back, mentioning that she had collected clippings of all his cases. Sherlock explains that he leads a busy life, but encourages Enola to investigate the mystery of her mother's disappearance on her own. That night, Enola examines the clues that her mother left her in her gifts. She finds a piece of paper that begins with Alone, and upon reading it backwards, it reads Enola, "Look in my chrysanthemums." Enola then goes to find Eudoria's flower paintings, and finds an envelope with money, and a message that says, "Our future is up to us." Enola remembers her mother telling her that she can take two paths, the one she makes for herself or the ones others choose for her. Enola decides to take the case on herself, and sneaks out of Ferndale Hall disguised as a boy. She leaves a rag doll in her bed, which Mycroft finds the next morning, when getting ready to send her to Miss Harrison's school. Enola goes to the train station and sees a woman looking for her son. When she gets to her train car, Enola sees a young man emerging from a luggage bag overhead. He introduces himself as Viscount Tewkesbury, Marquess of Basilwether. He asks her to help hide him, but she knows someone is looking for him, and orders him to leave. It turns out that the people searching for him were his own mother, his uncle, and his grandmother. Although Tewkesbury leaves, soon after, the man looking for him, an assassin named Linthorn, spots him and chases him. Enola tries to make her way out, but turns back after realizing Tewkesbury is in danger. Linthorn attacks Tewkesbury and tries to throw him off the train, but Enola hits him with a crowbar and rescues the Marquess. The two then jump off the train to escape Linthorn. Enola and Tewkesbury wander for a while until they are out of sight, and can stop to rest for the night. They discuss their deceased fathers, and the reasons why they ran away from home. Tewkesbury was set to take his seat in the House of Lords, and would vote to move the country forward, but he got nervous, and chose to run away after a near-death experience. Enola decides that once they get to London, they will go their separate ways. Once in London, Enola bids Tewkesbury farewell and hides out in a lodging house, while pretending to be a proper Victorian lady. Meanwhile, Sherlock and Mycroft make plans to locate Enola, although Sherlock reads about a disturbance on the train, and figures his sister was involved. Enola continues her search for her mother, by trying to leave ciphers in the newspapers she frequently reads, so that she may also find her. Enola later comes across a jiu-jitsu class taught by a woman named Edith, who knew Eudoria and recognizes Enola. She tells Edith what her plans are, but she tells Enola that Eudoria has always been hiding. Enola recalls the meeting she walked in on, as Edith was there, and Eudoria and other women were discussing someone named Ellie Houseman. However, Edith does not give her any useful information. Enola then finds a scroll that leads to more clues, which she uses while remembering other words discussed during the meeting. It turns out Ellie Houseman was just code for Limehouse Lane, where Enola hopes to find more information. Enola goes to Limehouse Lane in hopes of further locating her mother. She comes across a warehouse and uncovers what appear to be explosives and other plans, indicating Eudoria is plotting some kind of revolutionary act. However, as she investigates, she is found by Linthorn, who attempts to drown her while trying to find Tewkesbury, but Enola fights back and escapes his clutches. After setting off some explosives, she then decides to put finding Eudoria on hold and turns her attention to finding and protecting Tewkesbury, as she feels responsible for his safety. Enola disguises herself as a widow to avoid drawing attention to herself and arrives at Tewkesbury's estate to help his family find him. Although they try to send her away, she convinces them by saying she works for Sherlock. It turns out that Inspector Lestrade is already on the case and doesn't believe Enola works with Sherlock as closely as he claims. Lady Tewkesbury ends up sending both of them away. Enola then swaps clothes with a gardener. It also turns out that Mycroft had hired Lestrade to search for Enola, but due to Mycroft's description of her as a scrappy young woman with no poise, Lestrade is fooled by Enola's disguise. Sherlock visits Edith in his search for his mother and sister and tries to convince her to reveal information. But Edith calls him out on his obsession with his job and lack of attention given to his family, especially Enola. Enola finds Tewkesbury's treehouse near the area where a large branch had almost killed him. She goes through his belongings and sees that Tewkesbury was planning his escape for a while, as well as some flowers that Enola recognizes and takes as a sign. She is found by his grandmother, the Dowager, who recognizes the gardener's clothes on her, but Enola still convinces her she is the widow. As they walk, the Dowager tells her about her feelings on the country and her preference that England stays the same, especially in the upcoming vote among the lords. Enola goes to a flower market and finds Tewkesbury. She takes him to hide after telling him he is still in danger. It is revealed that his father was murdered, and the branch that almost killed him was cut deliberately. They are then found by Lestrade and run away after Enola hits him with a tea kettle. Unfortunately, Enola knows that they can't both get away, so she lets Tewkesbury go and is caught by Lestrade. Mycroft escorts her to Miss Harrison's school. Enola undergoes the strict routines that Miss Harrison forces all the other girls to go through, from the way they walk and eat to wearing unbearable corsets. She is later visited by Sherlock, who commends her on her detective work and admits he also came to visit her because he cares for her. He also brought Dash, which he found under their mother's bed. This gives Enola the motivation not to give up on her mission. As she looks over some newspaper clippings, she observes the events surrounding the Lord's votes. She then receives a supposed package from Mycroft, but it is really Tewkesbury sneaking in. Having remembered that Enola told him she was being sent there, they sneak out and steal Miss Harrison's car. The two head to Basilwether, as Enola has determined that Tewkesbury's uncle, Sir Wimbrel, must be the culprit. He must have killed his brother, and is trying to kill his nephew to succeed them and vote against their favors. They sneak into Tewkesbury's home at night to find it apparently empty, but Linthorn appears and attacks them. He almost strangles Tewkesbury to death, but Enola gathers her strength and pulls off a previously hard move, the corkscrew, to subdue Linthorn and bring him down, causing him to smash his head against a statuette. The Dowager then emerges with a rifle, revealing herself as the mastermind behind the assassination plot. She ordered her own son's murder and fires at Tewkesbury, so that they would not vote for the reform bill. Tewkesbury survives, having been wearing a chest plate, and the Dowager is exposed for her villainy. Sherlock later goes to Lestrade to report on the Dowager's guilt in the crime. Lestrade asks how he came to that conclusion, and after Sherlock gives his analysis, Lestrade comments that Enola solved it first. Sherlock leaves chuckling to himself, impressed by his sister's deduction skills. Tewkesbury accepts his new position in the House of Lords, and gets ready to cast his vote. Enola sees him one last time to say goodbye. As she goes home, she finds the day's paper and comes across a hidden message that was apparently from Eudoria, telling her to meet at the Royal Academy, which Enola finds suspicious, given that place's exclusion of women, so she believes Sherlock is behind this. Sure enough, he and Mycroft are there waiting for her, but she never shows. Sherlock says he would like to take her as his ward. It is also noted that Tewkesbury's vote helped lean in favor of the reform bill. Before the two leave, Sherlock finds that Enola left Dash on a nearby statue for him. He walks past her as she is in disguise, and he seemingly knows it's her, leaving Dash there with her. Enola goes to her lodging house and finds Eudoria there in her room. Although she is only going to be there briefly, Eudoria tells Enola she is sorry for leaving abruptly, but she explains that she had to leave to keep Enola safe and out of her personal activities. Eudoria also tells her daughter how proud she is of how she turned out. They embrace before parting ways again. Enola speaks to the audience one last time, saying that, just like her mother and brothers, she is going to chart her own path as a detective and finder of lost souls. She then goes for a bike ride around London, feeling free and empowered. That's it for our short but sweet recap of Enola Holmes. We hope you enjoyed following Enola's journey as she charted her own path in the world of detective work. If you haven't seen the movie yet, make sure to check it out and let us know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more movie recaps and reviews. Thanks for watching.